Good morning on this Tuesday. Tigers take flight with a tall order, literally. When you hear about Boise, we get into that in a second. Grizz and the Pacers, Memphis 7-point favorites tonight, even without John Morant. Well, he's doubtful to go tonight. You do have Dylan Brooks back. You think there will ever be a complete team that's raring and ready to go?
Well, you want to keep them off balance till the playoffs start so no one has the scout out on you.
Maybe that is it. They're again tied with Golden State. You know who came back last night for Golden State?
Who's that?
Draymond Green.
Big one.
It was the birthday of Steph Curry. Having Green there, he scored 47 points, 47 points. Guess what Draymond Green's plus-minus was last night?
What's that?
Plus 24.
That's pretty good.
I just, he's terrific, obviously. He really does make Steph Curry better, and that's what Steve Kerr said. I mean, there was no question that Curry was better last night. And that's the first time in like a year that Curry, Green, and Klay Thompson all played together. And because of that win, they are now tied with the Golden State Warriors, 47-22. By the way, bracketology today for me and for JMO. We'll make our picks and compare from there. Back to the NBA here for a second. And that tie between the Grizz and the Warriors. Who'd you rather play? Would you, if you stay at 2, would you rather play Denver or Minnesota? Because it looks like whether you're 2 or 3, you're going to play one of those two teams. And just so you know, both Denver and Minnesota won again last night. In Minnesota, Karl Anthony Towns, did you see his numbers?
Unbelievable. But the next game you're going to talk about was unbelievable too, but they were both unbelievable. 53, 54 points. No, 60-something points.
60 points and 17 rebounds for Towns. Whew.
But then
60.
But then Jokic too down the stretch hit some wild shots.
I didn't see any of that, but I just know either way, and I mean this for Golden State as well. Either one of those teams, that's how good the West is. Either one of those teams could beat either Memphis or Golden State.
No kidding.
That's how crazy I think these playoffs are going to be.
But no one wants to face the Grizzlies either, though. I can imagine that in those markets, they're saying the same thing about the Grizzlies, too. I mean, it's unbelievably competitive right now in the NBA.
You realize, the Suns are clearly the best team in the NBA. I mean, by a million.
Right.
But both Golden State and Memphis, the Grizzlies, they'd be number 1 in the East by 3 games.
But that league is so competitive, too. You know, this
I don't
playoffs.
know who's the best team in the East. Because right now the Heat have a 2-game lead on everybody. I don't think the Bulls are for real. I think
and to your credit, they had the hardest or second hardest schedule down the stretch here after the All-Star break, and you're seeing them slip a little bit. The Nets are really good with Kevin Durant back, and then the Sixers obviously adding James Harden and Embiid had 30-something points last night too. The one team I really like that beat the Grizzlies the other night, the Celtics, are playing really good basketball right now as well.
Celtics are maybe the best team. Miami must be, but I would say the Celtics are probably the second best team since the All-Star break.
Oh, and defensively, they're one of the best teams in the league all season.
Oh, and you're forgetting about the defending champion Milwaukee Bucks.
That's right. I haven't even mentioned the Bucks yet.
I mean, these playoffs are going to be crazy, but we're not going to be talking much about that. We've given you that. We've got a busy day besides the brackets. We are going to start here in about 4 minutes. We're going to bring in our friend Mike DeCourcy from the Sporting News. Wait, when I tell you his accuracy, and I'm going to wait to brag on him when he's here, it's incredible how good he picked this bracketology this year. He was number 1 of all the bracketologists in the country.
Really?
Yeah. I'll give you those numbers in a little bit. And then we do our brackets. I've got a Final Four. I was really searching here because I think this thing is the most up for grabs. Every team at the top has got some flaws. But it's hard. But I've done all my picks. I can tell you that my Final Four is from 4 different conferences.
I can't say the same thing. I can't say the same.
I'm really looking forward to, because we're trying to determine, do conferences really matter? By the way, conference all time. Who's the number one conference in the history for getting into the NCAA tournament? The most selections.
The ACC.
Correct. 396. Who's next?
The Big Ten.
Yes. Wow. Very impressed. That's 308. Then is the Big East, which surprised me.
I was going back and forth with the Big East a little bit because that's a newer, I mean, obviously not new by today's standards, but a newer conference compared to the other ones.
It's still very good, 289. And then the SEC with 203. Now,
they're making up some ground, though.
This year, the Big Ten trying to make up some ground. They had 9. They had the most of everybody. That same Big East, the Big 12, and the SEC was 6. The ACC had their fewest in forever, 5. Then the Mountain West Conference, which the Tigers are going to be competing against here, they had 4. The
WCC with 3 as well.
The WCC and the Pac-12 had the same amount, 3. Of course, Arizona's a 1 seed. And then the AAC and the A10 both had 2. Everybody else with only 1 bid. But do these conference tournaments really matter? How did Duke get in as a 2 seed over either Tennessee or over Tennessee? But you know what? How did Tennessee get placed behind Kentucky? Didn't they take 2 out of 3 from them?
That's right.
I mean, it's very odd. We'll see what DeCourcy thinks about all of that, and maybe he'll give us his Final Four. You never know. At the end of the show, after we give our brackets and announce our national champion, then we're going to talk a little baseball with Mike DeCourcy. So coming up is with Tim Doolin on baseball. What am I thinking about? We're going to have Mike DeCourcy here. In a second, I'm sitting in the Family Leisure Studios, and a reminder, yes, it's spring. Outdoor living spaces are the newest thing, and there are plenty of new things happening at Family Leisure Pools in stock. They're ready to purchase the all-new 2022 patio furniture. Hits the floor daily. So are the new grills like the Bulls. I have a Bull grill. Unbelievable how good it is. In stock, hot tubs ready for delivery. There's a great deal on play gyms. The newest trampolines with all the stuff around that. Outstanding grills. Everything you need for your outdoor space. It is happening at Family Leisure. And this portion of the show brought to you by James Davis Men's Store in the Laurelwood Shopping Center. And you know that is the #1 men's store, has been forever in my estimation. And if you go over there now, you'll see all the spring fashions. They are available. It's like a rainbow of colors inside this beautiful store in Laurelwood. And it's the only place with the Stant custom fit system. If you don't know what that is, it's the newest technology where they feed for pants 2 measurements, and into the computer it goes. There's an algorithm that figures it out, and the best fitting pants you ever put on, not baggy in the leg, fits you perfect in the rear and the waist. Amazing. 2 measurements. This new technology is incredible. Affordable. Takes about 3 weeks now to get them. Used to be a week, but they're so popular. The only place you can get the Stant system is in Memphis. It's 3 measurements for a shirt. I'm telling you, you're going to love the men's store of Memphis. It is James Davis. To, I think, Indy we go. You never know where Mike DeCourcy is. And let me brag on my man, the Hall of Famer from the Sporting News. He, amongst, and I get this from Michael Schroeder, the sports information director, so I know this is accurate info. DeCourcy was the #1 accurate guy of all the bracketologists. So look out, Lenardi. Move out of the way, Palm. 67 of 68 teams in the field. His seating accuracy, 73.5%. Wow, Mike, that's amazing.
Thanks, Dave. It was a surprise to me. I was really vexed by doing it. I felt very insecure about how close I was getting because it felt like such a difficult year to pin things down with the identity of the first 4 teams being the resumes were so disparate. You have a team like Michigan that had a 5-10 record against Quad 1.
Right.
You had a team like Rutgers, which had multiple bad losses, not non-tournament losses, but bad losses. And so it's so hard to pin down. And of course, A&M, which I believe lost to Missouri, which I consider to be probably the worst high major team in America this year. And they had that loss on their resume, but then they came back and they beat Auburn and Arkansas. And I thought they were in, and I thought they, especially because they'd played Notre Dame head-to-head and beaten them, I thought they would be in. And then all of a sudden you see what we see. A&M's out, and Notre Dame hangs on as a result of Richmond stealing a bid. Of course, A&M wasn't the first team out, according to the committee anyway. Not sure how they arrived at what they did. I don't know what they didn't like about A&M as a candidate. I know there was plenty not to like, but there was a lot more not to like about Dayton, which had 4 bad losses.
And that was the first one to miss. That's the first standby.
Yes, that was the team that was the last team out. And I guess that basically their league partner Richmond knocked them out. At one point I thought they could overcome the bad losses because they played pretty well and they had Kansas on their resume. They beat them. But then they went to LaSalle in late February when, the tournament pushes on and you lose to LaSalle. It's a terrible team. It's like, what? I mean, how? So I took them out completely and I took them off my board for a while. And then they won some more games, so they were back on the board, but never my first team out. I was shocked by that. But it was really cool to see that when the bracket was coming down, and I think I had 6 maybe actual matchups, maybe more, that the committee had. And when I was watching that come down, I'm like, oh my goodness, I think this is working out really well for me.
It did. There's no question. I have to ask you a few tough questions here. And it all starts with, do the conference tournaments really matter at all? For instance, Tennessee wins the SEC. They're a 3 seed. If you look at the metrics, how are they a 3 seed behind, in particular, Duke on every metric I've ever seen, or even from their own conference, Kentucky, which they beat 2 out of 3 times? What would have happened if Memphis had won the American? I saw you rated every team, and you had them, I think, 20. But had they beaten Houston, would they have been a different 9 seed? Would they have moved to the 8? What if Houston had lost? Would they have been a 6? Do the conference tournaments in this day and age, when we heard that a committee member had said everything was decided Saturday night, do they matter?
Well, there's a couple of answers to that that are important to get out there. First of all, that they do matter. They have said that there are times, especially the late starting conference tournament, which in this case, American and Big Ten, they have said that they'll disregard that if necessary, because they just can't get it done in time. In the Memphis game, although it started 15 minutes early, because I had it on while I was at the Big Ten, Memphis game went longer than the Big Ten game did, oddly. And so they wouldn't factor that in. And especially in an 8-9 situation with not a lot of room for Memphis to climb to a 7, especially if they were a 9, they would have probably stayed a 9 because there's no real reason to move them to the 8. It doesn't accomplish anything. I guess you could flip-flop them with the team that's ahead of them, but that team didn't lose the game to the Tigers, so I don't know that would necessarily been the case.
Maybe you wouldn't have sent them to Portland, though. That's tough.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. But see, at that point, they're not going to move the bracket so that they don't send a team that far. They're not going to say, okay, let's rip up the whole thing because 15 minutes to deadline. The Tigers don't necessarily need to be on that trip. That is a long way to go, and I'm not sure exactly why they got shipped so far. I get my only presumption is that they were the last team on the 9 line, and TCU, Creighton, Marquette. I think Marquette's the only team on that line that one could say that the Tigers definitively had a better season than. So I can see why that would be the case, that they would wind up going to Portland. But I think one of the important things about this is that when people juxtapose what happened on Sunday to the entire conference tournament, I think that's an over-exaggeration. That, the Sunday games might not be a big difference, but those other games do matter. They count as one game, and that game matters. But my point about Tennessee was, well, they didn't need to beat Texas A&M to prove they were a 2 seed. So if you're not going to count the game as a win, then you don't worry about them losing it either, right? Because it doesn't matter for the selection. So they were a 2 seed. They didn't need A&M to do that. They were already. And for me, it was Villanova that I thought that they were better than. Villanova had better metrics than Duke, but Duke beat 2 of the best teams in the country in Kentucky and Gonzaga. very few teams have that Gonzaga win. I mean, it's just Duke and St. Mary's, and I think there might be one other that they lost. There are not a lot of teams that have that victory. Oh, Alabama was the one.
Alabama, which, by the way, Memphis beat earlier in the year.
Right. So Tennessee should have been a 2. For me, it was Villanova because Villanova was only 7-6 against Quad 1. So they had a lot of opportunities and only took advantage of slightly more than half. And they did not have as many elite wins. I mean, their best win was Tennessee. So the only way they would have had a win on one of the top 2 lines was if Tennessee had been placed where they belong. And the committee had Tennessee as a 3 seed, but they had them behind Wisconsin, which I don't think is justifiable on any level. And it was a direct contradiction to the message that they sent to everybody with their bracket reveal in 3 weeks earlier, when Tennessee was 5-7 against Quad 1 at that point,
I'm trying to remember this with the Villanova argument. Didn't Villanova beat Tennessee? Isn't that part of the reason why you would put them in over?
Yeah, but there are lots of that. I mean, Kansas won. Kansas lost to Notre Dame by 20. So why isn't Kentucky a 1 seed, et cetera? Duke beat Gonzaga. We can do that all day.
Right.
But on that day when they said that Wisconsin was inferior to Tennessee, Wisconsin was 10-4 against Quad 1, and Tennessee was 5-7 at that point. Okay. Mm-hmm. Then after that, Tennessee beat Kentucky. They beat Auburn.
Right.
They beat Kentucky again. They beat Arkansas. Those are all top 4 seed wins. And Wisconsin lost to Nebraska after that happened. So I don't know what went on in the room. I think they did a great bracket, but there were a couple of things that, like, why? What are you guys talking about?
I still think, sometimes you look at that seeding. I'd rather look at matchups. I think Tennessee's got an easy road to play Villanova again. And so it's the 2 and the 3, and they'll really decide who should have been that seeding anyway, because they're both got relatively easy roads to play one another in that South bracket. I think they take on one another for a second time.
Yeah, I don't have much doubt about that. I think the difference would be if it had gone my way, they would have just flipped the 2 of them, and they still would have been in Arizona's bracket. And that's the bracket I would least want to be in this year, is Arizona's. So a hard spot from that point, but it's a slightly tougher situation for Tennessee because they have to play the 6 seed Colorado State as opposed to the 7 seed Ohio State, which if Ohio State continues to be injury compromised, that's a more difficult game. If Ohio State comes back and is not injury compromised, it's Villanova that got the short end, because Ohio State at 100% health, such as it is now, because they lost 2 regulars for the whole year and have barely played. But if they have back Kyle Young and a healthy Zed Key, they're better than Colorado State.
Is there any chance, if they're compromised, that Loyola beats them? Because that team is experienced with NCAA play.
Yeah, there's a good chance. They're a good team. They played very well this year. They had a tough stretch late February, but they recovered and played great in their conference tournament. So absolutely, Loyola can beat Ohio State, and that would ease Villanova's road a little bit. Tennessee could end up playing Michigan. I mean, on a good day, Michigan can beat pretty much anybody. It's just, do they have a good day?
Explain this to me. You mentioned A&M, which I don't quite get, but I'm going to throw in Oklahoma too, and I'm going to use Rutgers as the head scratcher here. Oklahoma's net was 40, and that metric takes in quad 1 wins, quad 2 wins. I think it takes in strengths of schedule and also margin of victory. So there's a lot of different factors in that net. The Oklahoma net is 40. The net for Rutgers, an 18-13 team. I know they're in the Big Ten, but 18-13, a net of 77, which takes all those factors into account. How does Rutgers get in over Oklahoma?
Well, they have said many times, and they reflected it in this selection, that it's not about your ranking. They don't use it that way. They use it as a guide to give you a general idea of how good the teams are that you beat. And so, Rutgers itself defeated. They were 6-6 against Quad One, and they had victories in there. When you look at their team sheet, they had victories against Purdue, Iowa, Wisconsin, Illinois. That's all. Those are all top 5 seeds. They had Indiana as well, Ohio State, Michigan. These are all tournament teams. I don't know the count off the top of my head. Michigan State as well. So that's like 7, 8 tournament teams that they beat. Oklahoma against Quad One was, let me dig it up. Okay, 4-12. So you've gotten all these opportunities, many of them at home, and they couldn't get it done. And so they take that into account more. Who'd you beat? How'd you play when you got opportunity? I mean, they beat Baylor on the neutral floor. That was impressive. They beat Texas Tech at home. They beat Arkansas on a neutral. After that, it's just, it's gone. That's it. Iowa State at home. It was the only other tournament team they beat. So how many is that? Like 5? Top at most 4? 4, 5? That's not a lot. That's not a lot getting done. That's not good enough. So you hide behind the number and say, look at the number. Look at where we are at Ken Palm 30, and look at we are here. But you didn't beat good people when you had the chance. So all you're going to play in the tournament is good people. So we don't think you're going to win because you don't in those situations.
I guess that's right. You work for the Big Ten. You would have more insight on this than anybody else. Is the Big Ten that much better a league than everybody else? They get 9 in, the Big East, the Big 12, the SEC 6, the ACC with their lowest in years at 5, Mountain West 4, West Coast and Pac-12 3, the American and the A-10 2. Is the Big Ten that better a league than everybody else?
I'm going to surprise you, first of all, by saying I don't work for the Big Ten. I work for the Big Ten Network. It's a little bit different.
Okay.
So just so that's on the record. The Big Ten wasn't the best conference this year. The Big 12 was the best conference this year. Big 12 has 2 number 1 seeds, and they did not have a bad team. They had no bad team, at none. Oklahoma State wasn't eligible to play in the tournament, but highly respectable. Kansas State could have played in the tournament, just couldn't get over the hump. They needed to win They needed about 3 games to go the opposite way, maybe 4 to go the opposite way of the way they did. And they'd have had a better resume if that had happened than Oklahoma did. Oklahoma, you mentioned, as a team that could have been in the field, that if they'd won a few more games, they could have. And a lot of these games are, coin flip games, go either way. That didn't exist in the Big Ten this year. First of all, they had no number 1 seed. They don't have anybody higher than a 3. And secondly, the bottom of their league wasn't great. Nebraska did not have a great year. Northwestern did not have a great year. Penn State was a fight you to the very end kind of team, but wasn't super talented. Maryland was pretty talented, but the coach left in December, and it all went away. There were many more wins available in the Big Ten than there were in the Big 12. Difference between the Big Ten and the Big 12 is the Big Ten guys would fight you to the end for the most part, but weren't good enough to beat you most of the time. Big 12 would fight you to the end, and they could beat you if you let them. And you might have to make a mistake for them to get that win, but if you did, they take it. And so it's just the way the numbers worked out. It just worked out. It's an oddity, but remember when you look at that, they had 2 3 seeds, a 4 seed, and a 5. That's their top end. And then the bottom end, the middle, I guess, is Michigan State and Ohio State. And then the bottom end is, half the first 4. Indiana, right. Rutgers both have to play an extra game. Michigan barely out of that game. That was just a coin flip as well, a matter of taste, ice cream flavors, I call it. Some people like chocolate chip, some people like vanilla, whatever. It's really just almost a matter of personal taste in the difference between Michigan, Indiana, and Rutgers.
Michigan at 17 and 14 deserves to be in?
Yeah, I think they do. Barely. I don't know that they deserve to bye. When the adjustment to the bracket had to happen because of Richmond on Sunday afternoon, Michigan was the team I moved into the first 4, not Indiana. I thought Indiana deserved to be upper level. Here's where Michigan's selection, not the selection, but the placement bothered me. I think it was based on they played a better schedule. And I don't think that should ever be a factor. You have all these metrics to tell you what the schedule means. The Ken Palm, strength of record, KPI, even the net. Scheduling is intricately woven into every one of those metrics. So why do you care what the schedule itself said? Why isn't the number one schedule always in the tournament? Here's why. Because a lot of times
they lose.
Because they lose, exactly.
Yeah, right.
So why? I call it social engineering. It's not the committee's job to tell you to schedule tougher. It's the committee's job to look and say, well, you didn't beat enough good teams. Okay, you're not in. All right, I'm fine with that, because if you don't beat enough good teams, but if you're in the Pac-12, you better play a tough non-conference schedule, because your league hasn't been deep in how long? You're only going to get Arizona, UCLA, maybe SC, Oregon in better years than this one. Until the league's better, you better schedule tough, and Colorado didn't. And so they didn't have enough good wins, even though they beat Arizona and their coach, Tad Boyle, was complaining about the selection process. You should have known. You're in the league. You know what's coming back. That's what you do. All offseason, you scout the other teams as well as recruit for your own. If you don't know what your league demands of you, which in this case wasn't much, then you have erred as the head coach. If you're in a league like the Big 12, and you figure, you know what, there aren't going to be any easy games in this league this year. We better, we got to back off a little bit, or our guys are going to be whipped. So that you got to be ready for that. It's part of the process, and I don't think you should get brownie points for scheduling hard and then not winning enough. That's Michigan, like I said, belongs in. They got enough high quality wins to belong in, but they didn't win enough games to justify not playing the extra game. But they got it because tough schedule.
Last thing, in about a minute, you've rated every team. Who's your Final Four?
Yeah, my Final Four, and this is going to be a weird year, but it's hard to see the weirdness in advance. It's going to happen. So I have 3 number 1 seeds, and I don't feel super great about that, but I can justify every one of them based on their draw.
Sure.
I have Gonzaga, I have Arizona, and Kansas. Kansas bracket, Iowa could get them. They're really good. I was very impressed watching them in the conference tournament over the weekend. But if they don't, Kansas won't have any excuses. Auburn's not playing great. Wisconsin has one great player, a lot of good players, but if you take that one great player and make him have a tough day, it's hard for them to beat you. So that's Kansas' situation. The other team was Purdue out of the East region. Not super wild about Baylor at this stage. Kentucky, I looked at Purdue and Kentucky, and I maybe overlooked a few things. It's going to be hard if Purdue and Kentucky play in the Sweet 16, it's going to be hard for Purdue to stop Kentucky's guards. I just focused first on the matchup inside, where Purdue can throw 2 bodies, Zach Edey 7'4", and Travion Williams 6'10", at Oscar Tshiebwe. And Oscar is not a great free throw shooter. So I thought if they were struggling to stop him, they could put him on the line some. They can afford to foul 10 times at that position. So I went with that and overlooked the fact that they're going to really struggle to keep the guards out of the lane. So that could go either way. I could get blown up on the Sweet 16 on that. And Kentucky could make it because, again, that bracket is not easy, but it's a lot less demanding than what Arizona faces with Tennessee, Illinois, and Villanova in the South region.
So to go over this, it's Gonzaga, Purdue,
yes,
Arizona,
Kansas.
And Kansas. Okay. I differ a little bit.
Oh, hey, you're welcome to differ.
I know. Who knows?
It's a hard year, man.
Exactly. As you said earlier in the year, and I think you were spot on, every team's got flaws. There's no doubt about that. Mike, Congratulations on your accuracy, number 1 bracketologist in America. We'll talk to you next week, and we'll have the results of the first and second rounds.
Thanks, Dave.
Thank you. Mike DeCourcy, our Hall of Famer from the Sporting News. He's brought to you by another Hall of Famer, I think, anyway, the Eflin Insurance Team, Matt Eflin, who's got his own philosophy about doing things. He gets to know you. It's collaborative. It's a great deal. He's a big Tiger fan. I wonder if he's going to Portland. He might be. but if he isn't, he's here getting to know you because that's the way he works. He'll sit you down if you're looking for home insurance, if you're looking for an auto program, if you're looking for life insurance. He gets to know you, your family, what your needs are, what your budget is, and then fits the perfect protection. Same thing with small businesses, small to mid-size. He has got the perfect commercial insurance for you. He gets to know you. Again, forecasting out what your business is all about, what your growth potential is, what you need protected. He takes care of it. Give him a call. I told you he's a Tiger fan. He's got GUR in his number. 901-386-GUR. That's 4777. That's the Eflin Insurance Team. We take a quick break. When we come back, it's time for Brackets with J-Mo and me on Wolo and Friends.
The all-new Sports 56 Mornings with Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy. Brought to you by Action 24/7, James Gaddis Jewelers and Acura of Memphis. Weekday mornings from 7 to 10 right here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Hi, this is John Conway with Conway Services. When was the last time you had your heating system cleaned? How about a safety inspection? Right now, Conway Service is offering our 16-point Energy Saver Super Tune-Up on your heating system for only $69. That's right, for only $69, we'll come out and perform our 16-point energy-saving Super Tune-Up on your heating system. We'll also include a complete safety inspection using our state-of-the-art camera system, making sure your heating system is safe to operate this winter. Plus, we'll run a carbon monoxide test on your heating system, all for only $69. You can have the peace of mind knowing your heating system is safe and ready for those cold winter nights. So call Conway Services, the Mid-South's premier heating, cooling, plumbing, and electric service company at 384-3511. That's 384-3511. Call this week, and we'll perform your heating system tune-up for only $57.
Call 384-3511. Conway Services. Call Conway today.
Are you ready for the Gossett Mitsubishi Spring Sales Event? It's on at Gossett Mitsubishi on the Pike. Need 41 MPG highway with gas prices that keep soaring? We got you covered in 2022 Mitsubishi Mirage G4. $189 a month or $14,999. 5 seats, 27 MPG combined. 2022 Mitsubishi Outlander Sport. $299 a month or $23,037. Plus, redesigned 2022 Outlander with 7-passenger seating and 27 MPG combined. $359 a month or $26,998. And get our stellar 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty. Gossett got it at Gossett Mitsubishi, 1870 Covington Pike, or shop online at memphismitsubishi.com.
If you want it, we got it at Gossett Motor Cars.
All 72 months, 500 military rebate, G4, NHF 03943, MSRP 16985, Sport, NUOO 6786, MSRP 25407, Outlander NZO 6388, MSRP 292, includes all rebates and incentives, PF 695, excludes tax title and license with approved credit. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through 2/28/22, dealer stock only.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? Sure thing. We can help you replace those wipers. If yours are squeaking or streaking, it's probably time. We've got a wide selection of wipers that can stand up to any weather, including the right ones for your make and model. We've even got more ways to get them fast, like our next day delivery or free same-day store pickup. Getting the job done just got easier. Restrictions apply.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Say there was a place, the perfect place for everything you need for tailgates and patios. Grills and chairs, charcoal and coolers. Everything to make a great game or a great day. That perfect place wouldn't be a warehouse. It's East Memphis Ace Hardware. Locally owned and operated at Quince and White Station, East Memphis Ace Hardware is where you'll find Benjamin Moore paints, local plants from local growers, and Black & Decker tools. Around the block, what you need in stock with people who know their tailgates. Welcome to East Memphis Ace Hardware, the home convenience store.
Now, back to Wolo and Friends on Sports 56, presented by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again, it's the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
Nothing like this time of the year, March Madness. Love it. Grizzlies So entertaining. What a good time this has been. You just heard our title sponsor. That's Homer Skelton Hyundai in Olive Branch, right at the corner of the very first exit in Mississippi Craft Road and Highway 78. That's Lamar in Memphis. And they are, I think, the standard for the way car business should be done. And their general manager, been there for a while now, Chris True, likes to say, you'll never pay more than sticker price. Other dealerships exploiting the shortage of new cars, and by the way, they're getting more new cars in every day at Homer, and you'll never pay more than sticker price. That's their pledge, and they stick by it. And this part of the program brought to you by the good guy that he is. That's Ken Garland, Custom Home Builders. Ken understands what a commitment you are making. You are financially going to commit. That's it. Your dream home is almost here, or maybe it's a lot you're looking for. He's got that, or you've got a lot. Family land, you're not sure what to do with it. You know where you want to be. You're not sure how to utilize that land. He knows because he and his dad, 50 years of building beautiful palaces all around the Memphis area. And renovation, too, if you like your older home, but you want modern amenities. I call it renovation with innovation. He'll give you the California closets. He'll give you the island in the kitchen, the granite tops, the speakers in the walls, everything you may need if you want that theater room. He's got it. He knows how to do it with everything that you've got in your home. It's really outstanding. All you got to do is go to kengarland.com. You'll see what I'm talking about, and then call him. 751-1632, fun to talk with. He sees little details, big picture all at once. He's one of those rare guys. He's terrific. Ken Garland, Custom Home Builders. All right, J-Mo.
All right.
Let's start with the West region. And I'll go over my first-round picks, and you go over yours, and then we'll make it easy.
Okay.
So I think Gonzaga's going to beat Georgia State in Portland. I think Memphis will beat Boise. I think New Mexico State will be my little 12-5 upset. I like Arkansas over Vermont. I like Alabama to advance over either Rutgers or Notre Dame. I like Texas Tech over Montana State. I think Davidson will upset Michigan. I don't think Michigan State. I'm not as big a believer in the Big Ten as Mike DeCourcy is. And then I've got Duke over Cal State Fullerton.
I have a lot of the same. Gonzaga. I think Boise State will beat Memphis.
Ooh.
I have Connecticut and not New Mexico State. I think Arkansas beats Vermont. I think Rutgers wins the first 4 game and also beats Alabama. I think Texas Tech beats Montana State. I also have Davidson to beat Michigan State. And then I have Duke.
Okay. So then I have Gonzaga beating Memphis. You've got them against Boise. I've got Arkansas beating New Mexico State. I have Texas Tech over Alabama, and I have Duke beating Davidson.
Yeah, so I have Gonzaga, Arkansas over Connecticut, Texas Tech over Rutgers, and then Davidson I have beaten Duke in the second round.
Wow. So you have Davidson in the Sweet 16.
I do.
I then have Gonzaga, and I have Texas Tech.
Me as well.
And then I've got Gonzaga moving to the Final Four.
Same there as well.
All right, let's go over in that same side in Fort Worth. We've got the East, and I've got Baylor, the number 1 seed, beating Norfolk State. I've got North Carolina beating the 9 seed Marquette. That'll be a good game. I've got St. Mary's, a 5 seed, beating Wyoming or Indiana. I've got UCLA beating Akron. I've got Virginia Tech knocking off Texas. I've got Purdue, a winner over Yale, Murray over San Francisco, Kentucky over St. Peter's.
We only have one different there. I also have Virginia Tech beating. Okay, I'll just go through it. Baylor, I have winning. North Carolina, I have over Marquette. St. Mary's, I have to beat that 12 seed, whoever wins that game. UCLA over Akron. I have Virginia Tech over Texas as well.
You do?
I do. I have Purdue over Yale. I have San Francisco to beat Murray State, though. That's the only one different I have from you. And I have Kentucky winning as well.
And then I've got Baylor and St. Mary's over UCLA. They're my darlings in this one. Purdue over Virginia Tech and Kentucky over Murray.
Well, I have two different here. I have Baylor, UCLA to beat St. Mary's here. I have Virginia Tech also to beat Purdue, and I have Kentucky to win that game.
All right, then I got Kentucky over Purdue. I've got St. Mary's, Baylor over St. Mary's, and I got Baylor in the Final Four.
Wow. I have UCLA to beat Baylor and then Kentucky to beat Virginia Tech. I have Kentucky in the Final Four. So that's a big difference there.
That is. We sure do. All right, move to the other side. We'll go to the South. It starts in San Diego. I've got the 1 seed Arizona beating Wright State or Bryant. I've got Seton Hall over TCU. I got Houston beating UAB. I got Illinois over Chattanooga. I've got Colorado State, a winner over Michigan. I don't think Michigan belongs in the tournament. I've got Tennessee over Longwood. I have Ohio State over Loyola, and I've got Villanova over Delaware.
So I have a few different here as well. I think in that first game, this is one of the few times in my life I can remember I've seen both 16 seeds play. I think Wright State beats Bryant. I want to say that straight away. I think Wright State wins that game. Arizona, I have winning whoever wins that game, though. Seton Hall I have as well. Houston, that one scares me. UAB is a good team, but I have Houston winning that game. Illinois I have over Chat. Michigan I actually have winning against Colorado State. Tennessee over Longwood. I also have Loyola Chicago over Ohio State. So flip the Big Ten teams there.
They're not that healthy, so that could happen.
Right, and then Villanova to win over Delaware.
Okay. And then I've got Arizona over Seton Hall, Illinois over Houston, Tennessee over Colorado State, and I've got Villanova to beat Ohio State.
We have the same Sweet 16 then, Arizona, Illinois, Tennessee, and Villanova.
Wow. And then I've got Villanova beating Tennessee. I've got Arizona beating Illinois. I've got Villanova in the Final Four.
Well, that's a big game then because I have Tennessee beating Arizona and Tennessee going to the Final Four.
Wow. So let me see. You have Kentucky. You have Tennessee. You have two from the SEC in the Final Four.
I do.
Wouldn't be shocked if you had a third one in then. We'll see. We go to the last bracket, and I have Kansas beating either Texas Southern or Texas A&M. I'm pulling for Texas Southern because I love Johnny Jones. I've got San Diego State beating Creighton. I have Iowa over Richmond. I've got South Dakota State over Providence. I have Iowa State over LSU. LSU's coach doesn't have a coach. I know Iowa State's lost 3 in a row, but I think LSU's given up. That's just my hunch. Then I have Wisconsin over Colgate. I got Southern Cal over Miami. And I have Auburn over Jacksonville State.
So I only have one different from you here. Kansas I have, San Diego State I have Iowa. I think Providence beats South Dakota State. I also have Iowa State, which is very scary because they only scored 40 points in their first round game in the Big 12 tournament. But I think I like what you said about them beating LSU. Wisconsin I have, USC I have over Miami and Auburn as well.
Okay. So then I have Kansas State. I have South Dakota to upset Iowa. I have Wisconsin to beat Iowa State. And I have Auburn beating Wisconsin.
Okay, so I originally had San Diego State beating Kansas, but I crossed it out. I'm going to go with Kansas. I think Iowa beats Providence. I think Iowa State beats Wisconsin, although that game is terrifying me. And I think Auburn beats USC.
So you have Auburn, Wisconsin,
Or Auburn, Iowa State, Iowa, and Kansas.
Auburn, Iowa State. Okay. Then I've got Auburn beating Wisconsin. I've got Kansas beating South Dakota State. I have Auburn beating Kansas. I have Auburn in the Final Four.
I have Iowa beating Kansas and Auburn beating Iowa State. I think I have Auburn going too far, for my taste at least. And I have Iowa beating Auburn and going to the Final Four. So my Final Four is Gonzaga, Kentucky, Tennessee, and Iowa.
My Final Four, Gonzaga, Baylor, Villanova, Auburn. I have Villanova beating Auburn. I have Gonzaga beating Baylor. I've got Gonzaga as the national champion.
I have Kentucky beating Gonzaga. I have Tennessee beating Iowa. So an all-SEC final, and I have Tennessee winning the national championship.
Tennessee winning the national championship. Wow. 2 Final Fours and the national champion.
That's right.
And you've got Tennessee playing Kentucky in the national championship
rematch.
game.
Fourth game, fourth time in a year.
Good luck on that one. Good luck on that one. It really is going to be a lot of fun. So I have your national champion out in a Sweet 16 game to my Final Four guy from the South, Villanova. And I have Kentucky losing in the Elite Eight game to Baylor. I think Baylor, I think it's either The winner from that side, Baylor or Gonzaga, is going to win the national championship. And isn't that interesting that Baylor and Gonzaga, if that comes true, do you have that? No, you have Kentucky.
I have Baylor out early against
you have,
UCLA.
That's right. If it's Baylor and Gonzaga in the Final Four, it would be a repeat of the national championship game. Think about that. That would be a repeat from last year's national championship.
It'd be an unbelievable Final Four game.
No
or the way I have it, a repeat of the SEC semifinal this year,
Yeah.
Which was a great game.
We switch gears in just a minute. We will talk baseball with Tim Doolin. There's been a flurry since the thing has been settled, signings and free agents. Who does he think has done well so far? And this portion of the show brought to you by Old Dominic. They're pulling for the Tigers, big partners of the U of M. Located in the heart of downtown Memphis, Old Dominic will offer full distillery tours. They've got craft cocktails at their bar that they have with their own product. They got mixologists there waiting to go. You got to try the new bourbon that master distiller Alec Castle is patiently distilling and brewing, and man, when that spirit comes up, it is going to be terrific. You can take a tour. It's the only distillery tour in Memphis, 45 minutes. You get a history lesson about Domenico Canali. You get a real understanding of the craft of distilling from grain to glass, and then you get to try the product. Can't beat it. All you got to do is get to 305 South Front Street, or you can pick up any of the Old Dominic products in spirit shops all over town. Old Dominic. Baseball right around the corner, and so is Tim Doolin.
Brett Norsworthy and Gabe Kuhn drive you home with Sports Time on Sports 56. Brought to you by DeSoto Auto Sales. Weekday afternoons from 3 to 6 right here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Welcome to Triumph Auto Sales, where you'll have a great car buying experience. Triumph Auto Sales is your #1 source of quality pre-owned vehicles ranging from lease returns to new car trades, all at huge savings. Plus, Triumph has a full array of financing options to meet your needs. Find your next car online at triumphautosales.com or stop in today at 4875 Elmore Road. Triumph Auto Sales will help you get the vehicle you want at the price you need and the service you deserve. For a great car and a great experience from a local and family-owned business, visit Triumph Auto Sales.
Progressive presents Forced Metaphors about bundling your home and auto.
When you bundle your home and auto with Progressive, you get great savings and round-the-clock protection, which is as beautiful as looking your firstborn child in the eyes for the first time. Well, that's a bit much. Maybe it's more like looking your second-born child in the eyes for like the third or fourth time. Point being, the savings and round-the-clock protection are really, really magical.
Forced Metaphors. Presented by Progressive. Bundle and protect today. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Discount not available in all states or situations.
Start your bracket with a bang. Right now, FanDuel Sportsbook is giving new customers a $150 instant bonus guaranteed. You'll get $150 in bonus site credit, and all you have to do is place your first bet of $5 or more. How you bet the bracket? It's up to you. Plus, with Cash Out, you can close out your bet whenever you want before the game is over. Join FanDuel today with promo code BIGHEAD. Then you can place your $5 bet to score $150 in bonus site credit guaranteed. Must be 21 and older and present in Tennessee. First online real money wager only. $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable site credit that expires 14 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See full terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call TN Redline 1-800-889-9789.
Now, back to Wolo and Friends on Sports 56, presented by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again is the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
Welcome back in on this terrific Tuesday. Tim Doolin, as he always joins us on baseball. Usually it's a little earlier in the day. He's kind enough with all the basketball to back up a little bit. There have been a lot of signings and some free agency movement since we know we got baseball starting April 7th. Who's won? Who's lost?
I think the verdict's still out on who's won. I think there's some teams that are winning. Obviously, I think the biggest surprise for me is that how the Braves just, dramatically pulled out of the Freddie Freeman race and went and got Olsen. And he's a good player, and I think it's definitely going to be it's probably as good a fit for the Braves as you could have, considering the fact that you didn't get Freeman back.
Well, why did that happen?
Probably excited.
Well,
I think probably what happened was the Braves realized they were so far apart with Freddie Freeman's agent that they weren't going to give. I think it was more about the years than it was probably about the money. And I think, in Freeman's case, he's deserving. One of the things that's interesting is, with all the analytics and how the game's gone and how they evaluate players and their careers, et cetera, is one of the things that's missing. And I know Harold Reynolds mentioned it the other day on MLB Now, and it was, pretty compelling in my view, is that when you look at Freddie Freeman, you can't just say, well, this guy's 32, and if we give him a 6 or 7 year deal, he's going to be, too old. But to me, you have to look at a lot of more things besides just the age, the body, how he stays in shape, his swing. He is a really good hitter that hits with power. He's not a power hitter. So oftentimes, if you're a feast or famine kind of power hitter and you're big, then that doesn't play when you're 37 and 38. But this guy's swing is so compact, almost Paul Molitor like, and yet he's a plus defender. So I wouldn't be shocked to see this guy still playing first base when he's 38. So I think sometimes that gets in the way, and we have guys that never played the game that don't realize, and really guys that are general managers that didn't play the game that don't get that. They truly don't understand the fact that this guy's really good and his body's going to continue to play.
In some ways, I see this is like trading or letting go of Albert Pujols, because this guy was synonymous with this team. He really was. It's the length of the years that were tricky for the Cardinals, I think, at that time, and for the Braves this time. And you're talking about a guy who is a great player, synonymous with the franchise. So I see some likeness there. And so since I'm speaking of Pujols, what's the word about Albert and St. Louis now that there's going to be a National League DH?
Mm-hmm. I think that's a very good likelihood. I haven't talked to Danny because he's knee deep in dealing with free agents that you have, and then you got arbitration cases that are going to be heard, I think, starting March the 22nd, and they got to cram all of that in and get it done before the season starts. Right. Typically that's being done in, the January time frame. So there's a lot going on. I would be shocked to not see Albert in a Cardinal uniform. I really do. I think some people have said the Rockies are in play. I don't think Albert, it's not about money. I don't know that he wants to go play in Denver, to be honest with you. I think a better fit would be either obviously the Cardinals, but I think the Dodgers might do something, but it would be at a discount just from their perspective.
Wouldn't he take a discount from anybody? I don't mean.
No, he's going to take a discount. Yeah, he's going to take a discount, Wolo. But I'm just saying he would have to take a big discount for the Dodgers to do something. I still think the Dodgers. I think the Dodgers and the Red Sox are in the Freddie Freeman stakes. I don't think Freddie would go to New York to the Yankees unless it was a big number that was so much different from, say, the Dodgers, because he's from LA. So can you imagine if the Dodgers get him? It's like good
crazy.
Gosh.
That would be absolutely nuts. I hope it is St. Louis, because I think that's where he really should end his career, and he should give him a great discount, because I don't think money is ever going to be an issue in the Pujols family. Last thing, since we're bringing it up, and I know we're going to talk about all of baseball in the next coming weeks and who you think is going to be good and not good, but let's just go National League Central real quick here. How will the Cardinals be? How will the Cubs be? Who's going to win the division?
It's funny. Well, we've done this for years, and I think we pretty much get it spot on. And not to avoid picking one, but I think it's going to be like it always is. I think the Brewers are going to be in the hunt. I think the Cardinals are going to be in the hunt, like they always are. And I think it's going to be one of those deals that it comes down to the wire. It's probably done that the last 4 or 5 years.
You didn't mention the Cubs in that. You said the Brewers
Well,
and the Cards.
it'll be interesting to see. It'll be interesting to see what the Cubs do. I'm just not. I'm not sold on anything that they've been able to acquire or do.
Yeah, I agree.
I think they're still in a rebuilding mode. To be honest with you.
I hate to admit.
I know that's not what you wanted to hear.
No, I hate I hate it that I got to agree with you. I can't even argue that point.
Yeah.
I don't know what the Ricketts are doing. I know they've gotten a lot of money and rebuilt Wrigleyville, but other than that, now they call it Rickettsville, from what I understand. Anyway, I can't wait to talk really about balls, strikes, shifts, DHs, the whole deal as we get set for this season to begin in just a few weeks. Thanks, Tim. We appreciate it.
All right, have a good one. Thanks,
You too. That is our man on baseball. That is Tim Doolin. Final portion of our show is brought to you by the good folks at Conway. Conway Services, heating, cooling, plumbing, electric, and, of course, the tune-up. I've had the tune-up. They finished. They figured everything out. We're all done now. They've taken such good care of me. I really appreciate those folks at Conway Services, heating, cooling, plumbing, and electric. And, by the way, you should appreciate them, too, because if they take care of you, you should get 2 tune-ups a year. One for winter, one for when you start air conditioning in the spring, and we're getting there right now because your system will last longer and your system will be efficient. That saves you money on your MLGW bill. 384-3511, that's 16-point Energy Saver Super Tune-Up. What that does for you, honestly, it's amazing. It just keeps everything in tune, and it's only $69. 384-3511, Conway. That's the number to call. That'll do it for me today. Johnny Radio is right around the corner. We thank Mike DeCourcy. We thank Tim Doolin. We've got our brackets in there. Make sure you remember what we got there, Mr. J-Mo. I'll be talking to you all from Portland tomorrow. Have a great day, everybody.
Brian Elder's Roofing.